Hello there, Force of Will players. My name's Charlie DeMille, and today, what I kind of wanted to get into with the official company announcement that the majority of competitive play is going to be shifting over to the Wanderer format in August of 2022. I wanted to start doing maybe like a weekly, like, Wanderer video, basically. Decks that maybe don't get the light of day, fun decks, maybe sometimes competitive decks, just decks overall that I enjoy, and it's to kind of help me keep me on a consistent video making schedule. So I'm going to be doing Wanderer Wednesdays. I'm going to try and release a Wanderer deck profile every Wednesday, and this is going to be the one to start us off. So getting right into it, I was checking through Foul Library. If you haven't been on there, they have a bunch of great articles. My videos also get posted on there. Huge shout out to Dennis, who kind of maintains the website. It's a very great website. Has a bunch of tournament breakdowns, multiple articles from top competitive players, and then access to Ruler School TCG link, a Force of Wind link, a very good database done by James Mount, as well as my videos as well get posted on there. But I was scrolling through there and I found an old Wanderer kind of tier list that someone had made. I'm not entirely sure actually. From post MSW. So it was when Magic Stone War came out, when Six Sage tag was first introduced. Advent of the Demon King had not been released yet. So this is almost about a year in the past at this point. It's about 4 sets ago. But I was scrolling through here and I found this deck. It's Feasting Grusbalesta, and they call it Ghost Tron, is what it looks like. But when I was looking at this, Tron is a very fun deck in Magic the Gathering, if anyone is familiar with that. What Tron is you play these lands. In the Force of Will version, it's Home Ministry, Prime Minister's Office, and Section 9 new headquarters. And what they do is they produce more colorless will if you control the other 2 lands. So normally they all just only produce a singular colorless will, but 2 of them produce 2 if you control the other 2, and 1 of them produces 3 if you control the other 2. So this was an interesting take on the deck. It's Feasting Gruz initially, and it played one of Magic Stone of the Six Sages in order to get the recovery effect. Grusbalesta can kind of help you functionally shift your stones around in order to get a better stone lineup to hit Tron faster. Tron is hitting all 3 lands. So, and you can kind of see the payoff down here. So what they were kind of going for here is they had Blessing of Yggdrasil's get stones into play, Ancestor's Portrait could get stones from your graveyard into the field after you sacked them off with Grusbalesta. Idol of Magic is used for filtering. Windstone Shot was kind of removal, as well as, again, the grave into field type stuff in order to recycle those stones. And their major payoff, as you can see over here, is Kusanagi Motoko, the large 7-drop, and then Ultra Magic Stone Golem. They also have some other functional stuff in the form of Lorite, in the form of Aramaki and Tokusa, as well as Kusanagi Motoko, the major, as forms of interruption. They also have a sideboard. I'm not going to be, again, doing sideboard text. Sometimes I'll say other cards that I've been thinking of for the deck that might function well within the deck. So, moving into my version. Oh, and Awakening of Milest, also a payoff. It's kind of like a Burn X spell, right? So moving into the version I made. So this is the one that I made. This is off of the current ban list as of March 9th, 2022. So Feasting has been banned in Wanderer format, as well as Magic Stone of the Six Sages. So I kind of had to maneuver around that. However, part of the cool stuff is with Game of Gods being released, we have a bunch of cards that came out, like Magic Stone Dance of Chaos, as well as Sudden Manifestation of Power, that allow you to call stones or get stones into play faster, even without having played them. So they function really well with Grusbalesta's effect, because, like, for example, Magic Stone Dance of Chaos, they'll all come into play rested, but then Grusbalesta can sack them off in order to make them come into play untapped. They come into play rested, but they don't go away at the end of the turn, right? So it's a quasi way to make Grusbalesta ramp stones. So there are a few different takes that I had on the deck. This is the final one that I've kind of reached, though there are a few things that I would potentially change around. It kind of depends on what you're trying to do. So, I didn't really organize this that well, unfortunately. We'll do that better in a couple other videos. But so Magic Stone Dance of Chaos and again Sudden Manifestation of Power are there to ramp you stones. Milest is going to give you an extra red at the beginning of your very first turn. So that extra red can go into playing Magic Stone Dance of Chaos, Sudden Manifestation of Power, and effectively ramps you one like the old Feasting used to do with Blessing of Yggdrasil. If you don't draw Magic Stone Dance of Chaos or Sudden Manifestation of Power, you can still ramp it into Blessing of Yggdrasil using the Magic Stone of Moonshade that you call. So, the rest of the deck. We have Horn unbanned. I believe Horn was banned at the time that video was made. So with Horn, that's kind of a way to recycle your stones back into your stone deck. It's also used as interruption against your opponent, people who are playing graveyard decks, other things like that. Kusanagi Motoko in Formal Wear. The reason I wanted to play this one is I decided to drop the Magic Stone Golem as well as the Kusanagi Motoko, the 7-drop. The Kusanagi Motoko is down here. So it's I do believe it as like kind of an option, like a good option you can kind of throw into a deck. But with how good removal has become over the past year since that last initial list that we just saw, it's very hard, even though she's uncancelable, it's very hard to get something like Kusanagi Motoko to stick, and she's not inherently game winning on her own, so she's not really what you're trying to be doing. However, we still are on the Awakening of Milest game plan. I'm only playing 3 of them because playing 4 kind of can get cloggy, makes your hand not great a lot. So we're only going to be playing 3, but the reason we have the Kusanagi Motoko in Formal Wear is in order to send more Aramaki and Togasas out into the RFG, give them a Cyberbrain counter, play them off of their dive effect. The reason for that is we want to draw. They're our draw power. Aramaki and Togasa is going to be our draw power. So this is basically 4 copies of Aramaki and Togasa. This is 4 more copies of Aramaki and Togasa. However, Kusanagi Motoko in Formal Wear also can get Kusanagi Motoko the Major, which if it gets her, she functions as a form of disruption. If we're playing against another combo deck, like let's say it's Last Secret Sword Welser, you can play Kusanagi Motoko on the turn before you think they're going to pop off, call Last Secret Sword, and if they can't deal with Kusanagi Motoko, their turn kind of fizzles and they can't kill you. So she's functionally in the deck for stuff like that as a form of disruption. She is sort of hard to get rid of, being at 500 defense. A lot of minus effects are at minus 400, which is predominantly what people have been playing recently. So she functions well for that. Idol of Magic, I believe the other list had as well. It's for filtering. It's also draw. So it's 1 mana, you filter through, it holds the mana through, and then you also draw a card. Basically plays at, you pay 1 mana into it, but it plays for neutral value, which is kind of, we're just trying to cycle through. Setting the Stage for Providence is a new card in Game of Gods Reloaded. It's a combo deck staple. It prevents your spells and abilities from being targeted, prevents them from being canceled. Also draws a card. So if you're ever afraid of cancel decks, or if your deck functionally revolves around resolving specifically 1 card, in this case Awakening of Milest, you're setting the Stage for Providence is a good anti-counterspell. Same thing for stuff like Lorite, other things like that. Outside of that, Borma is just my form of a field wipe. I believe they played Ultra Magic Stone Golem kind of as a just large beat stick as well as a board wipe. However, again, with the introduction of more cancel spells, more efficient cancel spells, more efficient removal, we've been getting a lot of more efficient stuff than we had when Ultra Magic Stone Golem was released, which leads me to believe that Borma is going to be in a more powerful state and is less likely to be kind of like affected, if that makes sense, or be canceled than something like Ultra Magic Stone Golem. However, depending on your locals format or whoever you play with or how the competitive scene evolves, you might be able to swap them up a bit. Outside of that, that's really the main differences with this list. Again, instead of Feasting, we have the Milest, as well as the new Nyarlathotep cards. My stone lineup is a little bit different, partially because of the Nyarlathotep cards. You get to see so many of your stones that you'd rather not have one of them at 2. You'd rather, and then like the others at 3. You can almost hit Tron on turn 1. It's almost possible. If you go second, I believe you can, depending on what your hand is. So you can hit the Tron very quick. So we're just going with a 3-3-3-1 lineup. And instead of Magic Stone and the Six Age, we're playing Magic Stone and Moonshade. Magic Stone and the Six Age had a lot of application for the deck because it recovered your ruler for free. I would probably be playing 2 of them and drop maybe like Home Ministry or Section 9 Unit Headquarters down to 2 if that card was still legal. The reason for it is because each time it gets called, right, you're going to get a recovery on Grusbalesta, which means you get functionally closer to Tron. Some other options that I was looking through while I was making this deck, Ryoma Sakamoto, it's a 2-drop. She doesn't do anything, but she does filter will. So all of that will that you're getting off of your Tron cards, they can filter into any color with Ryoma. So if there ever becomes a card that's like 5 light will, 5 green will, 5 blue will, stuff like that, Ryoma could be used as a potential play line in order to play those cards. Optical Camouflage was very popular in Feasting Mujdart decks in New Frontiers. It's a form of removal, form of disruption. You bounce something back to your opponent's hand, and it only costs 1 colorless, which you're in colorless, so it makes it the most efficient mana to card removal that you can access. Again, Kusanagi Motoko was in the old list. Can work functionally, depending on how a format shifts, who you're playing with, etc., etc. But with how the game has kind of changed over the past year-ish, I believe that she has kind of fallen out of favor. Gathering of the Six Sages and Agrade the Giant Pig. These cards started coming out with the induction of Tag, cards that recover your ruler. Gathering of the Six Sages and Agrade are very good if you also draw Magic Stone Dance of Chaos. However, if you don't draw it, they become significantly worse. Same thing with like Sudden Manifestation of Power. Part of the reason is because Grusbalesta puts the stones into play tapped, so if you put them into play untapped, you could effectively cycle through a whole bunch of mana and hit Tron on turn 1 almost guaranteed. I did a few play lines where he played it like that, and it's very easy to hit Tron on turn 1, as long as you draw like Magic Stone Dance of Chaos. However, because he puts them into play rested, it kind of takes a little bit to ramp up. You don't get like a free will effectively every time Grusbalesta untaps, so it makes these play lines a little bit harder. The reasoning over one over the other. So Gathering of the Six Sages being a chant, the color doesn't really matter, light over green for the most part. You're filtering so much and you're just based in all colors or or void for the most part, that if you can't play one of them, you probably couldn't play the other. So the color doesn't really matter effectively. The difference between them, one is quick cast and a chant, the other is an activated effect. So depending on who you're playing against, whether they have like a Lorite, Feasting, stuff like that, over let's say like Fair Spell, depending on like the tech options and stuff like that, might depend on which one you would rather play. Gathering of the Six Sages does also draw a card, so it does have that kind of application as well, where it filters you through, where Agrade does not have that. However, Agrade is also a body. So that is this list for this Wanderer Wednesday. Feel free for you guys to try it out. Feel free to add your own cards. There are a plethora of other void cards that you could potentially add to make this deck interesting. TikTok Automaton Infinite Loops, or Machine Lab of Legend is Infinite Loops, I should say, but you use TikTok Automaton to get there. You can add like Dark Machina Gliding Shadow for search effects, other things like that exist out there. But anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in today. Hope to see you all next week, if not shortly in the future. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.